welcome to the Florida Aviation Network. My name is Lori Bradner. I am your hostess with the mostest, and we are broadcasting live and in the clear from Sun and Fun 2021. You can find the Florida Aviation Network in the Piedmont building, and today, I don't know how I get so lucky, but I have two of the most interesting, most awesome guests sitting right here with me today. Ensign Kennieth Brewer, it is so good to see you, and Commander Rebecca Waddington of the Hurricane Hunter with NOAA and the Hurricane Hunter. We need about 3 hours for this interview because I cannot tell you how excited we were to know that you were going to be on our set. So I have to start, if I may. Commander, I'm going to start with you, ladies first, if I may, Kennieth.
Absolutely.
If I may. I would love for both of you, we have viewers from ages 2 to 92. I would love for you to talk us through your pathway. The Hurricane Hunter, the coolest, I'm sorry, no offense to anyone, the coolest aircraft in the sky ever, the coolest job in the world ever. How in the world, where did you start, and how did you get to be commander? And I know that Kennieth, Rebecca, if you could share, and Kennieth, you are on your way, you're doing the training, so would you share your stories, please? So we'll start with you.
Sure. Lori, thank you so much for having us here.
Awesome.
We have so much fun. We are based right here in Lakeland.
I didn't get that from you.
Wonderful.
No, I didn't get that from you. No, very boring.
I hide my feelings a little bit. In answer to your question, my path to aviation was a very crooked one.
Okay, love those.
I had no plans on being a pilot when I was growing up. I was a weather nerd through and through. I went to school for meteorology. I just wanted to study storms, and I thought, what better way to study a storm than to fly into it? So I joined the NOAA Corps, which is an active duty part of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Okay.
Joined them right out of college as a ship driver. I went out and operated on an oceanographic research vessel out of Hawaii. Not a bad gig for a 22-year-old me.
Not a bad gig at all. I love it.
I was out there for a couple years, rotated to my shore assignment, which was at the National Hurricane Center in Miami. Absolutely loved it there. And while I was there, I was constantly seeing the data come in from the hurricane hunters.
Right.
And I thought, well, that sounds like fun. How can I do that? And I was fortunate enough that an opportunity came up where NOAA was looking for people to transfer from the maritime side to the aviation side.
Okay.
I charmed my way through an interview, and they selected me, sent me to flight school. I went from having 0 hours to having a commercial multi-engine instrument rating, and it was fantastic. From there, they sent me off to the King Air, which is one of our platforms. It's
okay.
Not one of the Hurricane Hunters, way too small for that.
But you're also commander for the King Air. Okay.
So I'm an aircraft commander for the King Air. I started with that. I've flown the King Air since 2010. And in the last 3 years, I started training on our Gulfstream 4 aircraft, and I'm now an aircraft commander on that one, which does fly through hurricanes at the high altitude.
Wow. Okay, you are just amazing. I love it. What an inspiration you are. And to think that, so aviation just, it was just serendipitous.
Sounded like fun.
Sounded like fun. I love it. Now, Ensign Brewer, please tell us your path. Talk to us, because I know you graduated. You've got a 120-year history in Lakeland. I know.
You look good
and
for your
you
age.
are a
Absolutely.
George Jenkins graduate, 2009, Embry-Riddle, 2014. Did I get my dates right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I know you and we have worked together. It is so good to see you. How did you pick this path? What are you doing now? And talk to me a little bit.
Absolutely. So whenever I was in school, I had always absolutely loved aviation ever since I was a young kid. I grew up right here at Sun and Fun.
Right.
So from the time I was 2 or 3 years old, my dad would bring us out and show us all the airplanes. I graduated from George Jenkins, which is right across the street, and we went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University up in Daytona Beach. Don't hold that against me, anybody. And I graduated from there, and while I was at Embry-Riddle, I figured out about NOAA, and I was like, what a cool way to mix my love for science and aviation. So I started.
Where did your love for science? What part of science? Were you a meteorologist?
So
like
I
commander?
love weather. I absolutely love weather, but I love the great outdoors. So fishing and hiking and hunting as a kid growing up in Florida was absolutely just passions of mine. And so I loved the fisheries service, and I really got involved with the Southeast fisheries over in St. Pete, Florida. And it was something I've always just been interested in. And so whenever I was in college, I was like, wow, I can mix not only uniform service, but my passion for aviation, my love for the ocean, and all of my outdoor interests. So that's one of the things that kind of meshed it all together. So whenever I graduated from Embry-Riddle, I wanted to continue flying, and I wanted to get more of my licenses and things of that sort. Okay. And I started my master's in environmental science, of course, and I started studying that. And I was like, you know what? Now's the time. You know, I'm gonna apply. And so I applied. And I was just lucky enough. My interviewing officer was actually Commander Waddington years ago.
Don't blame me.
And who wouldn't want to do it after talking?
Absolutely.
I want to join now.
You know,
seriously.
It's awesome. And what the funniest thing, this is the most NOAA core thing you'll ever hear in your life.
Okay.
So NOAA, you know, we're very involved with all the sciences, all the exploration and adventure. And she says to me, Kenneth, I got to meet you today. I love we did this interview. Tomorrow I'm leaving for Antarctica, so you might not hear from me for a few weeks.
It's true.
So I went.
That is awesome.
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you. So I'm going to go back to you. So what was the path? So you interviewed?
Yes.
Obviously, you saw how awesome he was. You know, you knew he needed to be part of NOAA. But now, what has been your path? What do you do? Do you immediately all of a sudden go, yes, I'm here and I'm on the Hurricane Hunter?
Correct.
And I'd like to fly it, please?
No, not
I
at
didn't
all.
think so. I'm guessing not.
Yes.
But so what was the path? So where are you now? And so what have you done? Mm-hmm. Where are you and where are you going at this point?
Absolutely. So right now I am based on the Twin Otter. I have a 5-year term on the Twin Otter. Okay. I think I'll be applying to the King Air because it's the mission that I'm interested in that the King Air does. I love snow survey because I love the cold. I love Alaska. I love the Midwest. Being a Florida boy, I hate sweating all the time.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes.
But so I was selected for BOTC. I got selected for flight training. Most of our officers actually do serve a year or two out to sea. I was lucky enough. They needed pilots because a lot had separated or retired at that time, and so they picked 2 of us from BOTC, and I went straight to flight training. And now I'm learning from the senior pilots.
Experience.
I did, yes, ma'am. So I had my private. I had most of my instrument time, and so I just did my instrument check ride when I got to flight training, and then went straight into multi-commercial.
Fantastic.
So it was fun, and now I get to learn from our senior pilots that teach the baby pilots like me how to fly.
I love it. So then, so you were on a ship. So you did the work on the ship.
No, he actually skipped the ship.
You skipped it.
I was on the ship.
You were on the ship.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, so then you went right, because they had the opening, you went right in, but you actually served, Commander Waddington, you were actually on the ship.
Correct. Yeah, I was the navigation officer on our ship. And I had a great time. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Being at sea was a lot of fun. Being in the air is better.
And of course, I'd rather be in the air than anywhere. Absolutely. Now, where are you going now? So I'm going to go back to you, Kenneth. Where are you now, and how much? What else do you have to do? What are you doing? What are you going to be doing now? And then, what do you have to do to actually get to what we call and what we can see here at Sun and Fun? Now, I know it's the Hurricane Hunter is not here. Commander, you were telling me, because it is in...
Yes, we have 3 aircraft that are actually considered Hurricane Hunters.
Okay.
Our Gulfstream 4, which is what I fly, it is currently up at Gulfstream for its spring maintenance package. Every year, we send it up there in April and May to get completely fixed. Whatever needs to be fixed gets fixed, so that we are ready on June 1st. Now our P3 aircraft, those are the big 4-engine aircraft.
Right.
They're actually here. Okay. They're not out on display. They're in our hangar over here in Lakeland, also getting worked on to prepare them for hurricane season as well.
Because hurricane. So what is out here? I know that you've got an aircraft out here that people can see, and I know that both of you will be there. And I will get back. I didn't mean to waylay the question, but what is here? What aircraft is here, and where can people see it?
We've got one of our Twin Otters. So we have 4 Twin Otters. We've got one of them out on display for everyone to see.
That's awesome. And where are you located? Where can they see you?
We're over at the Warbird ramp, so the southwest side of the Warbird ramp, right next to Stallion 51. I think Lee just left here a little bit ago, so we're right beside him.
Doctor, we've had them all. That is awesome. Okay, so now back to, so where are you, Kenneth, in your process?
Yes, ma'am. So I just completed my co-pilot syllabus, and now I'm entering my third flight for my aircraft commander, which will allow me to take command of an aircraft with a crew and to go out and conquer and do some science.
Now I have to. This is the zoologist in me.
Okay.
That's very interested because I read an article and then we were talking about it, and you were showing me some pictures earlier.
Absolutely.
I have to ask you about this shore survey, and I know that's what the otters do, and mammal survey.
Correct.
What a beautiful blend of, like you said, the aviation, and for me as zoologist, the science.
Yes.
But you took part in that. So
absolutely.
What did you do exactly?
So we fly out. We usually do southeast right whale and northeast right whale. So we study the right whales. They're called the right whales because back in the day they were the right whales to kill. And so we're trying to reboost their population and get those back up into the safe numbers so they're not an endangered species anymore. So we'll base out of St. Simons, Georgia, or up in Cape Cod, and we fly out with biologists in the back.
Right.
And their specialty is just studying these whales. And it's so amazing. Like, I wouldn't know a whale from two cats in a room. But you know, they're like, oh, that's Sophie and that's Tom Tom. They know them all just by seeing the little crustaceans. It's absolutely cool. It's so amazing. And we go out, we fly, and we do zigzag formations.
Okay.
And they'll tell me, oh, we have a sighting. And then we'll break off of our formation and we'll go and we'll circle them. And we do about 45-degree turns, and we're at 1,000 feet. We're doing about 90 knots. And we just circle the whales, and so that they can get pictures of them, so they can study them. Sometimes we find whales that haven't been seen in years. And so they're like, oh my God, we thought they had passed away. Or, oh, they're calving. I see a calf with them. So we do some really, really cool stuff whenever it comes to marine mammal surveys.
It's also really important with any entanglements. Sometimes they'll see whales that have gotten entangled in nets, and from the air you can see them a lot better than any small boat. So the scientists and the pilots in the air will be coordinating with people on boats to go and actually untangle those whales.
Absolutely.
One of the things that stands out just in our conversation is when you talk about aviation, you know, I think a lot of people think only about the flying and only about the aircraft. And I have to say, and I thank you both for educating me, because when you think NOAA, what do most of us think about? We think about the hurricane hunter. That's what we know. But what's beautiful is it sounds like there's so much more to, and I know, Commander, what else have you done with, now what does the King Air, when you are commanding those aircrafts, what are you doing in those aircrafts? Are you doing the mammal surveys? Are you doing the shore surveys? What are you doing with those?
A little bit of everything. Like you said, we're known for our hurricane hunting mission.
Right.
But really, when you think of NOAA aviation, you can think of it from 500 feet to 45,000 feet, because our Twin Otters and our jet prop fly at 500 feet for these snow surveys. What they're doing is they're measuring.
I have to stop you because we're in Florida.
We're Florida. Snow in Florida.
And not a lot of us know about a snow survey.
So snow
Are you just seeing where the snow
it's white
fell?
stuff that's cold.
And so what are you doing with a snow survey?
Sure. Well, like I said, it's our main mission of our jet prop, which is actually retiring at the end of the year.
Okay.
We're replacing it with a new King Air that just got delivered in December of last year. So we have a new aircraft in our fleet. But they fly at 500 feet using a gamma radiation detector. What that's doing is, as they fly over the snowpack, they're actually seeing how much water is in that snowpack, which is super important for flood forecasting, particularly in areas like the Midwest. Yes. And Kennieth was out there actually doing that same mission on the Twin Otter. So not only does the King Air and the jet prop do it for mountainous areas, but the Twin Otter will do it in flatlands. So we have snow survey missions down at 500 feet. Wow. As Kennieth already talked about, some of the mammal missions, looking over different animals, whether it's right whales. We've got an aircraft that just made it up to Dead Horse, Alaska yesterday. They are doing a polar bear survey. So all over the place, and they stay low as well. Our Twin Otter slogan is low, slow, and good to go, because that's what they're really good at doing. And then as you move up, you get into the other King Air missions, which is coastal mapping.
Okay.
So we have some really high resolution cameras on board our King Air.
Okay.
The King Air has been modified to have these belly ports so the cameras can look down through.
Super.
We fly at specific tide stages, so we can find out exactly where the water is at high tide and low tide. That then gets translated onto nautical charts for shipping purposes.
For shipping.
So any of the Florida boaters out there, you probably have seen our shoreline being drawn on that, and that comes from aircraft. Now, as you move up even higher, so those missions are usually at 10,000 feet.
Okay.
Then you get up to 20,000 feet. That's our gravity mission. Now, you might
what
think
is
to
that?
yourself,
Okay.
we know what gravity is.
Right.
It's 9.8 meters per second squared.
Right,
Everybody's
right,
known
yeah.
that. You know, Newton did some stuff. It was
Right,
cool.
right.
It changes very minutely. And that has a big role in the actual shape of the Earth. So we fly our King Air and our G4 at 20,000 feet and with this super sensitive equipment. It's so sensitive, Lori, I can't walk past it to go use the restroom in flight. It's too sensitive. So it's measuring the minute changes in gravity. That goes in, again, to the shape of the Earth's geoid, which then comes back to floodplain mapping and tides.
Again.
So it all ties in together. I skipped over one level there, so that
Right.
was 20,000 feet for our gravity. Go back down to 10,000 feet for me. P3s. Those
Right.
are our big hurricane hunters. That's usually the altitude they fly in when they're going through the hurricane. So they are punching right through it. The term hurricane hunting, actually, this might be interesting to people. You think, how hard is it to find a hurricane? They're pretty big.
Right.
The term hurricane hunting comes from finding the exact center of the storm where there's zero wind. And that's what our P3s are doing. They're constantly cutting through the eye of the storm, looking for that exact center so that they can determine what the storm's movement is. That feeds back into the models to see what the future movement is going to be.
So, no offense, but you are the, and I'm going to use the term we had, actually one of our guests, his call sign is Mad Dog. So you are the Mad Dogs that we see on the news when all the other planes are going around the hurricane. You're the
We're
one
the
that's
ones
in the
going
middle.
in.
Yeah, I think Paul Delgado has that. He even comments, there's one right, that would be you.
That's us. I think the most common question I've ever gotten in an interview or from the general public is, are you crazy? My answer, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
But
One of the things I have to ask now, Kenneth, have you flown the P3s?
I have flown in the P3s
You
as
have?
support crew, yes.
Okay, now one of the things that was interesting that we talked about, and I think this is so wonderful in the training. Normally, when someone's finishing training, especially if they want to go into commercial airlines, first officer, you would always fly right seat. Very rarely, until they get the hours, may they fly left seat. But you were telling me earlier that when you're training, so commander, you're always going to be, you would be the PIC, but if you were to fly together and she was training you, you would still have the opportunity, Kenneth, to fly left seat in that aircraft.
That is correct,
And,
yes.
and log as a PIC.
Absolutely.
So it's and you alternate each day?
Yes, we usually either alternate each day or each mission. Whenever I was flying with one of our aircraft commanders, Lindsay Norman, she and I would actually switch usually every mission. So I'd fly a morning mission and she'd fly an afternoon because it's very hands-on at 500 feet and you're following the terrain. You get pretty worn out by the end of the day. So we would switch sometimes, but usually it's every day we switch our pilots left seat and right seat.
Okay, I know we've got to wrap up, but I want to ask both of you. You are inspirational to me, and I want all of my students that I teach to meet you. So I'm going to keep in touch with you because we're going to get you into the schools.
Please
I'm telling you,
do,
we need
yes.
to do this. But I want to ask two things from both of you. What would you say to young people to inspire and empower them to follow their dreams? Kenneth, that's what you're doing, and I want you to know I think it's awesome. Rebecca, you inspire me. Seriously, I want to grow up and be you, and I think I'm probably older than you. I still want to grow up and be you because you're awesome. What would you say to inspire and empower the young people watching? And then we have to say, because June 1st is right around the corner, what is some advice that you would give to keep us safe for hurricane season? So may I start with you?
Absolutely.
Commander Waddington.
Well, what I would say to anybody listening is take every opportunity you can. As I mentioned, I never dreamed of being a pilot. I just liked storms. And now, I'll be honest, I like flying more than I like storms. And it's because I said yes to opportunities. I talked to people. I found out what they were doing. And when an opportunity came, I didn't let any fear keep me from it. I didn't know if I was going to like being at sea. I might have gotten really seasick, but I said, let's give it a shot. And I loved it. I didn't know if I was going to be a good pilot. Sometimes I still question that. But I'm out there doing it, and I'm loving every minute of it. So that's my advice to anybody out there is just talk to as many people you can, find out what opportunities are there, and say yes.
Say yes. I love it. And
I would say,
Ensign Brewer, what would you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would have to say stretch your limits. You know, go and do things you've never tried before, and just keep persevering. It's really extremely important. I know whenever we were on the USCGC Bark Eagle, which is the only mass ship that is still sailing in the United States services, I was like, what in the world? Why do I want to go out to sea? I want to be a pilot. Like, this is going to be scary. It's a mass ship. I don't want to be a pirate. But you know what? Whenever we're off the Cape Hatteras and we're in the midst of a storm, you learn so much from just stretching your boundaries, what you can go through, what you mentally go through.
Right.
You know, you're rolling around in your sleep at night, but you're learning so incredibly much, and those transitions of learning and building your own repertoire really help you in the future, especially as a leader, as an aviator, as anyone in aviation or anyone in the science industries. And then I would also say study STEM. Go out and stretch those limits of your education. Get those harder sciences, get those harder maths. If I wouldn't have taken physics, I would never be here today. Physics wasn't fun, but I did it.
Yeah, that seems to be the,
Yes.
for most students I have, that seems to be the overall opinion. I cannot thank you both enough. And I also, of course, for hurricane season, I think the key is always safety and preparedness that we promote always for Florida Aviation Network. Ensign Brewer and Commander Waddington, I cannot thank you enough for being here. I want you to come back so we can talk to you again.
Anytime.
It is absolutely a delight. My name is Lori Bradner. We are broadcasting live from Sun and Fun 2021. We are with the Florida Aviation Network. Please come see us.